Hey y'all need to take the sleep pill. And what if I told you that scientists kind of discovered a real daily quote unquote pill that can add 10 years to your lifespan, makes your face instantly more attractive, boosts your IQ and your memory, lowers your depression and anxiety, increases test, protects you from cancer, heart attacks, and strokes, and makes you more happier than like a $60,000 raise could, right? Obviously, we're gonna all take that fucking pill, and that pill's gonna be sleep. So, today in this high IQ guide, we're gonna be breaking down everything that you need to optimize sleep for your looks, hormones, your mental, and like just without the bullshit, right? So, we're gonna be talking about like why sleep can be a major looks max or a major looks minimum, right? So, sleep matters. We all fucking know this, but we don't know why, right? So, we don't understand how brutally fucking bad sleep destroys your face. So just having one night of bad sleep can have give you a puffy, bloated face, dark circles, droopy eyes, shitty skin elasticity, more acne, red and irritated eyes, and even an older appearance, right? And in long term, that's gonna obviously affect your aging, right? You know, you're gonna look like shit when you grow up. Worse facial structural support, your test is gonna be shot, and you're gonna be in a worse mood, right? So people are generally gonna be perceiving you as like less likable and less attractive when you're sleep deprived because of all these things. It's one of the worst look spins. Also, this is there's not really that much evidence behind this, but poor sleep can also shrink your fucking testicles, right? So it'll be like you're hopping on roids without actually getting any of the gains. So this matters, right? Let's fix it. So let's talk about how our biological clock works, which is your body is going to be running on a 24-hour internal clock called the circadian rhythm, which many of you have already heard of, right? So that's controlled by stuff like light, which is the main input, melatonin, and cortisol. And we've all heard about the fucking cortisol bloat recently, but we're going to get down into how that affects your face. Because at the end of the day, your face matters the most. So light's gonna hit your eyes and signal your brain and is gonna set your hormone timing. At night, your melatonin will rise when you sleep. A lot of people think that supplementing melatonin as a sedative works, but it doesn't, and that's why we're gonna get into that later. If you correct your sleep, your melatonin should rise naturally, right? And in the morning, your cortisol is gonna spike when you wake up. And that's gonna build up the longer you're awake. So the more time you're awake, the more pressure you have to sleep, right? It makes sense. When we work out and have a hard day's work, we're gonna be more tired when we go to sleep, thus more pressure. So if you fucked all the system up, your pressure and your sleep and hormones and mood are all gonna fucking suffer, right? So let's talk about sleeping position. The best sleeping position is on your side, right? And I used to think for so many years that sleeping on your back was optimal, and I always struggled to sleep on my back. It was always hard. I was tossing and turning. But that isn't necessarily the natural way, right? Side sleeping, preferably on your left side, is the best, right? So why? There's better brain waste removal, improved digestion, better lymphatic drainage. It lowers your heart rate, and it reduces your sleep apnea risk, right? And if you have sleep apnea, it's fucking over, right? The only way to save yourself then is a double jaw. The downsides can be, hip and spine misalignment, but you can easily fix that by putting a tiny pillow between your legs to realign your spine. And even if you don't, you can put your hand there. There's a bunch of other things that you can do. The misalignment though is more like a quote unquote, it's something that you have to be aware of, but it's not going to affect you that much long term, right? So also if a face compression, right? So if I'm laying on my left side and my face is being pressed into a pillow, there's going to be always some tension here. So which is why you kind of want a softer pillow for this. And this is technically how like primates, us as humans used to sleep, right? It's we have a primal urge to sleep, not just like laying flat on our backs, right? This is how primates naturally sleep. So our body tends to agree with that. I think one of the most important takeaways there is the lymphatic drainage, because you're laying on one side, you're not letting it build up here. And yeah, it also helps with digestion, right? Now we're gonna get into napping, which is optional. I don't tend to do it, but it is powerful, right? So if you don't have super high test, if you're like around that mid to low area, there's gonna be a natural energy dip around 1 to 3 p.m., depending on when you wake up. If needed, you should nap around 20 to 30 minutes a day, the same time every day, and not too late. And if you don't feel tired, just skip it. You don't have to really force it. That's basically you want to do it at the same time every day so it doesn't fuck up your circadian rhythm and you just get that extra boost. There's no necessarily shame in napping, but any time over 20 to 30 minutes is not optimal, right? So now we're going to be talking about melatonin and why most people fuck this up. So your body naturally makes around 0.1 to 0.5 milligrams of melatonin. And most supplements have 5 to 10 milligrams. That's like 10 to 100 times too much, right? We produce melatonin anyway, and our body knows what's right unless we're at a major deficiency, which most people are not, right? So people misuse melatonin and treat it as a sedative, right? It's not a sedative. It's a timing hormone, right? So the only time we should be really using melatonin is to reset our clocks. Let's say like after a travel, or to kind of schedule it with, being on a plane and jet lag, right? But abusing melatonin is actually going to fuck up your sleep and fuck up your tests and progress, right? So that's going to cause morning grogginess, it blunts your cortisol, and it worsens long-term sleep if misused over a long period of time. So what you should be doing, instead of just using these complements to, fix your sleep, you have to fix your rhythm, don't override it. There are supplements that work, and we are going to be getting into those shortly. Now we're going to be talking about sleep apnea, which is very, very important. You should be checking on this quite frequently to see if you take off any of the boxes. If you do, you have some major rethinking to do, right? So if you're waking up foggy, if you're waking up tired after 8 hours of sleep, if you snore, or if you feel like airway collapse on your back, you might have sleep apnea. So the causes can include like having a recessed jaw, which is the worst, nasal congestion, having hella fat under your chin, weak throat muscles, and a deviated septum, right? So if you have severe apnea, you have to fix this. You either have to use a CPAP machine, which I know some people in my family use that. You have to resort to surgery or some lifestyle changes, right? So side sleeping and using nasal strips can help, but you should never ignore sleep apnea because it's very fucking serious. And now we're going to be talking about our mindset, right? So at the end of the day, like, missed sleep does happen. Life is going to throw some curveballs at you. It's not, necessarily perfect, right? But we're not going to catastrophize this. We're not going to, sit down in Ladar. We're just going to use the 80-20 rule, right? So one bad night of sleep, it might bloat you a little bit, but it won't absolutely ruin you. You're going to want to focus on being consistent. That's the number one rule of, Looks Maxi in general. You have to be consistent and not perfect. You're always working to improve yourself. You're also going to want to work hard during the day so you feel more tired at night, so you're not up there restless and stuff. And the more you do, the more you build of what's called adenosine, which is going to build up that sleep pressure so you fall asleep faster and you'll sleep easier, right? And your body doesn't know that weekends exist, right? So when we change our sleep schedule on the weekends, when we say, oh yeah, I'm gonna sleep in late, no, that's not right. You should always try to keep wake times within 2 hours max, right? If you're gonna decide to wake up at 6 a.m. every day, that's great, but you have to be consistent with that even on the weekends. So try to find something that works for you. You don't necessarily have to get up at 6 or 7 a.m. every day. You can do something like 8 or 9, but you need those 8 hours and they need to be high quality. Let's talk about our sleep environment, which is non-negotiable. Sorry guys, I'm a little sick. So I'm gonna provide a little mental checklist for you guys. Your room temperature needs to be about 62 to 66 Fahrenheit, or around, I think it's 16 to 19 Celsius. you're gonna want to be in a dark ass pitch black room. So that means no lights, no screens. You should get blackout curtains, but if you can't afford that, or it's just not available where you are, you're gonna want to get an eye mask that doesn't irritate and it isn't too tight around your head, right? You're gonna want to get a weighted blanket around 10% of your body weight, so not really fucking heavy, but enough so you feel it. You want to get a good mattress, and having a good mattress is going to be super important in general, right? Because you're spending a third of your day on it, so why not invest your money in something that's going to help you sleep better a third of your day? You're going to want to get an orthopedic pillow, a soft one for when you're going to be laying on your side, and you're going to want to get, you can play white noise on your phone if you're sensitive, and you're going to want to avoid EMFs and try not to be on your phone as much before bed. You're going to want to reduce blue light at night. What you're going to want to do with the blue light is turn your phone on nightlight mode, all your computers on there, and avoid screens completely for at least 30 minutes before you go to bed, right? So blue light is the fucking devil. It's going to block up to 80% of your melatonin, which is why people think they need to supplement it and go 100x to 10x over what they actually need. So blue light's going to kill your sleep, kill your test, right? So, and also the clear blue light lenses, they're kind of cope, right? The ones that you can get inside of your prescription glasses, these are kind of cope. They don't really work. Red lenses block the most, but the only downside is you can't go out with them because they look, absolutely fucking ridiculous. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about the intake and timing of our sleep. So some key rules here are going to be your last meal should be 2 to 3 hours before bed. You don't really have to go off of, a lot of people say, 8 p.m. is the last time you should eat or drink. You don't have to follow that strictly. You just have to be consistent. 2 to 3 hours before bed. Your last fluids, you want to have them earlier in the evening so you're not waking up to piss super late at night. So you can have foods a little bit, later in the day, and you need to have enough because you want enough water to flush out all of the bad fluids and help with lymphatic drainage so you're not just a fucking bloat cell, right? So caffeine, you don't really want to have caffeine even after 10 a.m., but I'd say, most people can get away with having it around noon the last time. Basically, the rule is there's a long half-life of caffeine, so if you take it at around 1 or 2, it's going to be in your system and when you're about to go to sleep, right? And something that's going to help with your sleep is eating at consistent times daily. So you don't want to just be having a just eating here and there randomly. You want to have a structured life, right? So a structure in terms of when you eat. So if you want to eat here, here, and here, or if you want to eat 2 times, that's fine. They just need to be at a consistent time. Some helpful tools for sleep can be, nasal strips for getting better oxygen if you suffer from sleep apnea, or, you just need better oxygen in your lungs so you're not mouth breathing constantly. Salt and electrolytes can help, which helps with, it'll bloat you a little bit, which is kind of a dissension, but you would want to time those around the evening time so you're less likely to want to piss and wake yourself up early at night. Serotonin support, not melatonin abuse. That's a key thing here. You don't want to abuse melatonin. You just want to keep your high serotonin. I think pineapple is pretty high in serotonin, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other foods. So daily habits that fix sleep. You need morning sunlight ASAP. I'm talking you should have had that shit yesterday, right? So my daily routine when I wake up is I get up, I inject if I have to, and I do my skincare, take a quick rinse off, get some cold water on my body, make sure my skin's looking very clear, and go outside for a quick walk, take out the trash. It doesn't have to be super long, but just getting that sun in your day, right? Now we're going to be talking about something less important, which is working out earlier in the day. I understand, like, with energy levels, it might not be, you might not be able to, or your job may not provide it. Just the good idea is to not work out super close to the evening or the nighttime. So the morning is preferred, but if your energy levels can't work around that, then you can work out in the early afternoon. So, what else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, meditating and breathing at night. So it's kind of like a slept on, pardon the pun, but it's a slept on way to increase, help your sleep. Taking just a deep breath, like, and out, can always help your sleep. You want to set a bedtime alarm and not a waking alarm. You never want to just like hear your alarm buzzing in the background and just fucking up your sleep, spiking your cortisol way higher than it needs to in the morning. So you're going to want to set an alarm when to go to bed so you can stay consistent. And if you do that right, you're going to wake up when you need to. Recently, I always had a lot of anxiety about waking up at the right time. And I figured once I set a set time to go to bed and I didn't set an alarm to wake up, I would just wake up when I needed to. And, it'll improve your test. You'll feel a lot better. You want to have a consistent sleep schedule again, which is where the alarm plays into. And yes, technically having orgasms help your sleep with oxytocin. So if you could get some, having sex before bed often helps. And we're going to be talking about the best supplements for sleep. These are not coplements, but there is one true king. The first one is ashwagandha, which is going to reduce cortisol. You're going to want to take that. All of these you're going to want to take around bedtime. So ashwagandha, which is going to help your cortisol go down a little bit. L-theanine, kind of same thing. And the king of them all is magnesium glycinate, right? So I don't use L-theanine right now, but I plan on using it, and I use ashwagandha right now. But the king of it all, which I do use, is magnesium glycinate, which I swear by. Basically, it makes you sleep for longer, and it'll make you have very vivid dreams. So dreams are a very good sign of having good sleep because you're in that deep REM state, correct? And magnesium glycinate, I take around 400 milligrams every night, and that's going to increase the sleep time. I used to struggle with waking up at around 6 in the morning, and I would go to bed at around midnight, and I'd be like, why am I only getting 6 hours of sleep? Why am I doing this? But once I started taking magnesium glycinate, it helped me with sleeping longer, and I got that quality sleep. So when I woke up, I felt well rested instead of, just waking up at an early hour and feeling like fucking shit. Anyway, but you shouldn't overcomplicate supplements, right? Also, magnesium glycinate gets confused with a different supplement called magnesium citrate, which are two different things. Magnesium citrate, I have it, but I do not use it anymore unless I'm going out. Magnesium citrate is going to help you de-bloat a little bit, but very shortly, right? You don't want to take magnesium citrate every day. It's definitely a mistake. You only really going to want to take that when you go out, because oftentimes it can cause stomach irritation, it can fuck up your gut, and a lot of other bad things. So magnesium glycinate is king over magnesium citrate, and they work for two completely different things. I see those two supplements get kind of construed a lot, so I just wanted to clear that up. And yeah, so we're going to wrap it up with the good ROIs and having a perfect circadian's flow, right? So waking up with sunlight, eating consistently, working hard early in the day, and winding down at night, sleeping the same time every day. And do this, you're going to look better, you're going to feel better, you're going to think sharper, and you're going to, live longer. And yeah, this isn't optional if you want to be serious into looks maxing. Again, sleep is 1/3 of your entire 24-hour day, so you need to take that seriously. I would say that sleep is one of the highest return on investment upgrades you could ever make. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, and yeah, let me know what kind of other guides you'd want.